Hello and welcome to part 3, the concluding part of this series on Google My Maps. My name is Chinmaya, and in this video, I will demonstrate examples of how we can use Google My Maps to create story maps, to plan routes, to create maps using geotagged photographs, and also to import KML files created by others and use them in our own maps. We will also learn how to export maps that we have created and view these maps in Google Earth. I will also show you how to use an online tool to create proximity buffers that we can use inside Google My Maps for creating maps related to urban planning, environmental conservation, transportation, disaster management, health, and many other areas. So let's get started. Let me now show you an example of how we can use Google My Maps to create map stories. For this example, I try to visualize an air pollution story from central India. I came across a report that tries to highlight the impact of air pollution from a super thermal power station in India. So let's start by creating a new map. This story is from the central part of India, a super thermal power station called as Chandrapur Super Thermal Power Station, which is located in Maharashtra, India. Before we add any features to this map, let us first go ahead and change the name of this map. And I'm going to call it Impact of Air Pollution. If you want, you can provide a small description. I'm not going to do that. Just go ahead and click on Save. And this is now the name of our map. And let's also name this layer, the first layer. So I'm going to click on this and call this layer Location of the plant. So this is where we are going to save the location of the super thermal power station. So this is now appropriately named as a location of the plant. And let's now head to that particular plant, and that is Chandrapur Super. And you can see that I'm already seeing the location of that particular plant as part of the search result. So I'm going to click on the first one, and we are immediately transported to that particular location. As you can see, it's showing us Chandrapur Super Thermal Power Station. And let's just click on this button and add it to our map. So you will see that this location has now been added to this particular layer. So once I've added the location of this particular thermal power station, I can click on Edit and add a small description, in this particular case a Wikipedia page, to let people know a little bit more about this plant, and go ahead and click on Save. I can also change the icon for this power plant, so just click on More Icons, and one of the icons is Factory. So you'll have to do a little bit of search to find an appropriate icon. Just click on this and click on OK. And then we can just choose a color to depict this particular super thermal power station. So I'm going to choose purple. So we have just created our first location, which is the location of the plant. Let us now change the base map to a satellite picture such that we can see what's going on here. So as we zoom in, you can see that this plant has a number of stacks. These stacks or chimneys are visible right here, as you can see, and these are emitting smoke. And this smoke, depending on the direction of the wind, can then not only impact all the people living close by, but even people living very far away. So I came across a report that tried to study the impact of air pollution of this particular plant, and it has named quite a few cities which are far away from this location that have been impacted, or that are impacted by the air pollution load of this particular plant. So let us enter all those cities. So let me enter the first of those cities mentioned in the report. So that is the city of Nagpur in Maharashtra. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and then just go ahead and add it. So this city has been added. And as you can see, this city is, when we zoom out, this city is towards the north of this particular plant. So whenever the wind is flowing in this direction, the pollutant load is carried to this city and all other places in between, of course. So that was one of the first locations that was mentioned here in the report. Let us add a few other locations that were mentioned in the report, such that we can build a map story and people can visualize the actual impact of the distance to which the air pollution can actually travel. Now, as you would have noticed, this city has been added to the location of the plant layer, and that is not a good idea. So what I'm going to do is rename this layer and call it impacted places. And as I have mentioned before, you can move an item from one layer to another layer as long as they are individually styled, which is the case here. So I'm going to click on this and then I'm going to grab it, and you can see that the arrow is now a four-headed arrow. And I'm going to come here and drop it on this particular layer. So let us now add other towns also. So one other town that was mentioned in this particular report was the town of Raipur in the state of Chhattisgarh. And we can just add this town as well. So you can see that this is northeast of the plant. And as we zoom out, you can see that the pollutant, depending on wind conditions, can actually travel up to this particular place, which is very far away, and also impact everything that is coming in between. So this is the second town. Some other towns that were mentioned in the report, so I will just keep adding those towns as well. One of which was Adilabad, and this is in the state of Telangana in India. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Map. And that feature has now been added. Another town that was mentioned was Nanded, again in Maharashtra. So I'm going to come here and add that place as well. So as you can see, if we zoom out, these locations, Adilabad and Nanded, are towards the southwest of this particular plant. So based on wind direction, pollutant travels in this direction and impacting all these areas in between. And two other places that were mentioned in the report were Pune in Maharashtra, and I'm going to add that, and also Mumbai. So I'm going to come here and click on Mumbai and then go ahead and add it. So if we zoom out now, you can see the extent of the impact of air pollution emanating from this plant. And there would be other places as well, but for brevity, I'm just showing you how we can build a map story. So we can uniformly style all these impacted places by clicking on this and then coming here and clicking on uniform style as we have done before. And then we can come here and click on this and let us look for an icon, maybe a flag, and let's red flag these areas. So yes, there is a flag icon here, and click on OK and then give it a bright red color such that we can indicate that these are the places that are negatively impacted by air pollution emanating out of this particular plant. Now, it will greatly aid this story if we could create proximity rings around this particular plant, indicating varying distances, and we can then isolate areas that are within a certain distance. So these are called as buffers also. So there is no tool that can help you create equal distance or set distance buffers around a particular point. But what we can do is we can use a tool that is provided by Federal Communication Department, which is a department of the US government. And they have a great online tool called as Circleplot. Just go to Google and type in Circleplot, or otherwise use the link that is in the description below. And the first result is Circleplot. And this is provided by the Federal Communications Commission, which is a government body of the government of United States. Just click on this and you will see this tool. So what this tool does is that it will ask you for a point, and the location of the point has to be given in latitude and longitude. You can then choose the distance units. It can be kilometers or miles. And then you can just provide radius for 4 circles, and it will create those 4 circles for you. And you can also choose colors. You can just simply paste in hex colors or HTML colors here after pressing the clear color button. I'm going to go ahead with the default colors. So the first thing is we need to provide the location of the super thermal power station. So let's head back to our map And you will remember that when you click on this particular icon here, the location of the Chandrapur Super Thermal Power Station inside your My Maps, it shows you the latitude and longitude right here. So we can just simply copy and then go ahead and paste the latitude in the latitude box right here. And then we can also go back again and copy the longitude, right click, copy, and then come here and paste this inside the longitude box. I'm using kilometers as the distance unit. You can use miles if you prefer. And I'm going to create a proximity of 1 kilometer, then 3 kilometers, then 5 kilometers, and then 10 kilometers. So these will be concentric rings that will be created around this particular point. And I can then also give the name to this particular point. So I'm going to call it Chandrapur Super Thermal Power Station. You can also provide a brief description if you wanted to. And then you can come down here and click on Create KML. So Create KML File button creates a KML file, and KML stands for Keyhole Markup Language. And the great thing about this file is that it can be directly imported inside Google My Maps. So let's go ahead and create a KML file, which will create 4 circles of these distances around this particular point. I'm going to come here and click on Create KML, and my file has been created. And when I click on this, you will see that the file is now available. So I'm going to head back here and add a new layer, and let me name this layer Proximate Areas, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now I'm going to click on this import button here. So this file is now on my computer, and I'm going to grab hold of this file and drop it here. You can also use the browse button. And when this file is dropped here, you will see that it's being loaded, and now that particular file has been loaded here. If you ever encounter any problem while importing this file, you can choose to copy this file on Google Drive and then choose the Google Drive option to add this file to this particular layer. So when this file is imported inside, you can see that you are having these circles, but they are currently not visible because the tool adds 2 backgrounds along with these circles. So one is the white background and one is the black background. We don't need them, so I'm going to click on this bucket and delete it from here, and also the black background, and delete it from here. And you will now see that you have concentric circles around the Super Thermal Power Station. This is the 1 kilometer circle. This is the 3 kilometer circle. This is the 5 kilometer circle. And this is the 10 kilometer circle. So we now have a really good visualization of the areas that are falling within 1 kilometers, habitation and houses and other places which are falling between 1 and 3 kilometers, then 3 and 5 kilometers. And quite a lot of people live here, as you can see, between 3 and 5 kilometers and 1 and 3 kilometers. And also between 5 and 10 kilometers. So the entire Chandrapur town and its vicinity is covered within 10 kilometers. And you can see that these are the areas that might be very severely impacted as a result of the pollution load released by this particular plant. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another set of circles, which will be very large area circles. And I'm going to come here and click on Add Layer and title this layer as Distant Areas, and click on Save. And I'm going to head back again to my Circleplot. And this time around, the Circleplot is already having the location of the plant. I'm going to create distant circles. For example, the first one being 100 kilometers. The second one being 200 kilometers, and the third one being 300 kilometers. And I'm going to do away with the last one, but you can add more circles if you want. So you can come back and create another set of circles if you wanted to. So you are not just limited to 4. You can keep creating and saving them as files. So I'm going to come here and click on Create KML, and my file has been created. and download it. So as I come here, I can see that this file is now available, and I can come back to my map and import this file. So I was mentioning about moving your file to Google Drive. So if, for example, the downloaded KML file does not work when you drop it from your computer to this particular box as part of upload, you can always move that file to your Google Drive. So for example, just simply copy it and put it inside your Google Drive. And when you click and select this file and import it, this will always work. Why this happens, I really don't know. But in this particular case, I'm going to just come and drop it from my computer here. And this file is now getting included here. And as you can see, again, it has two background polygons. So I'm going to go ahead and delete them and delete. So you can now see that when you zoom into the plant area, you are seeing immediately proximate areas. And when you zoom out, you are seeing distant circles. So this is the area between 10 and 100 kilometers. And this is the area between 100 and 200 kilometers, all these areas. And these are the areas between 100 and 300 kilometers. So you can see that the town of Raipur, which was one of the impacted towns, is about 300 kilometers away, and the impact of air pollution is felt so far, and all the places in between are also impacted in this direction, Adilabad and Nanded and other places in between. And you can now visualize the travel of the pollutant and places in between certain distances much more clearly with the addition of these circles. And you can even see that the pollutant load travels from here up to Mumbai, which is almost 681 kilometers away, and also to Pune, which is 593 kilometers away. So let's add a few more layers to complete this story. Superthermal power stations are usually located near coal mines, and there are quite a few coal washeries also near superthermal power stations to process the coal. So let's add a layer. So I'm going to come here and click on this and name this layer as Opencast Coal Mines. And the layer is now created. We'll make sure that it is selected. And what we are going to do now is to come here and just simply search for Opencast Coal Mine and come to the last option as we have done before and click on this. So you will see quite a few Opencast coal mines have been marked here. So let's just keep this selected and go to the top and keep adding all these coal mines to our coal mine layer. And what we can do now is to also search for OC. Some of these have been labeled as OC or Opencast. So let's go here and look for OC. So you will see quite a few of the Opencast coal mines that were not included in the previous search for Opencast coal mines have come out because of the term OC. So we can come here and add all these also to our open coal mines list. So as you can see, we have quite a few mines that are operating in this particular area. So we have included them in our story. What we can also do is to include another layer for washeries. So we can come here and add a layer. And I'm going to come here and click on this and call this washeries. So these are plants that are used for processing coal, and they contribute to river pollution. So what we're going to do is we'll zoom in once again into this particular area and then type coal washeries. And we can see some washeries in this particular area. So we can select this washeries layer, then come to the top, and then just keep adding all of these washeries to our washeries layer. Now both mines and washeries are having the same symbol, so we can come and uniformly style them. So I'm going to pick on uniform style. All the coal mines are now bunched together, and we can give them some kind of symbol. So you can see that these are all coal mines. Of course, you can also pick up different icons, and the blue ones are all washeries. So we can also come here and give them uniform styling. They are all bunched together now. So we can click on this bucket here and choose an icon, maybe something like this, a shape, and give it a different color, maybe yellow. So all the washeries are in yellow color. So as you can see, we have added 2 more layers. This is just for demonstration how we can build our story. And finally, we can also create an impacts layer. So let me just add another layer, and let me call this as impacts layer. And this is largely to share some stories of how people have been impacted as a result of the super thermal power stations. So I've selected this layer, and I'm going to bring in my first story. So this story is from Durgapur, very close to Chandrapur super thermal power station. So once we reach this particular place, we are not going to use this searched pointer. Instead, we are going to drop our own pointer. So I'm going to click here, add marker, and drop one marker here. And I'm just going to call this story of Gokul Bai, and I'm going to add in some text. So inside this box, I've pasted a news report from a news site, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on save. So you can see that this story has been added here. Just a little bit of text, and then people can follow a link. I can add a few photographs. And to add photos, I'm going to my Google Photos. You can also upload the photos from your computer. And I'm going to come here and click on this and insert. And then I'm going to go ahead and click one more time and go to photos and maybe insert just one more picture and save. So we have just added our first impact story. If you can quickly go and have a look at this story inside the preview. So you will see that when we come to the impacts layer, there is a story of Gokul Bai. When we click on it, you can read this story. And there are 2 images, so you can have a look at these images. So this adds a human touch to your map story. I'm going to close the preview window and head back once again. I can then include an impact story for air pollution. So I'm going to just come here, and this air pollution story will be located at the plant itself. So I'm going to just come here and add a pin, and I'm going to call it air pollution problems. And I'm going to come here and paste in a little bit of description, exactly the same as I have done before. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. So this is a little bit of information about the problems that the air pollution in the area is causing. Let's go ahead and add a few photographs. So I'm going to head back again to Google Photos and then just pick up a few photographs from here. One of the photographs could be this, and insert, and maybe we can add one more photograph. This is a newspaper clipping. And what I can also do is to add a video. So I can just come to YouTube and paste a link. I already have a link. Press enter. So you will see a video. Just click on it and then make sure that you press insert. So we have also inserted a video, and we can save this. So this is our second impact story that we have created, a small description and a collection of photographs, newspaper clippings, and videos that can actually be added to substantiate this story. Now, as you can see, there is a river that is flowing very close to the plant, and this river is called as the Erai River. So we can add one story about the Erai River, or the impact of power plants on the Erai River. So we'll just come here and click on a portion of Erai River, and then call this as Erai River Pollution. And I'm going to add some description like I have done before. And I'm going to go ahead and click on save. Once again, let's add a few photographs. So I'm going to go ahead to photos and then just look for some pictures. So this is the first picture that I want to insert. And then I can add a couple more. So I'm going to head back to photos and then come here and click on this one and insert. And then I'll add just one more photograph just to complete this particular story. And I can just come here and click on this and insert. If we have a video, we can always add a video to provide the viewers with more in-depth coverage. So let me just add a video here as well and insert. So this is on YouTube. The only condition that is required for you to insert a video here is that it should be available on YouTube. So I'm going to come here and click on save. So we have added another story here. Let me just get rid of this point. So it's accidentally added. Let's zoom in a bit and add another story, making sure that the impacts layer is selected. We can document the impact of the plant on agriculture. So I'm going to come here and pick up this marker and put it right here. This story is from western part of Chandrapur district on the impact of agriculture. Let's pull this out a little bit. So let me give this a name. Let me call it agriculture impacts. And I'm going to paste in a little bit of description covering this story and save. And I'm going to come here and add a picture as well. So heading back again to photos and choose this picture and insert, and maybe just one more picture of a news clipping. So, and insert. So we have added one more element to the impacts layer, impact on agriculture. And finally, let's add just one more human-animal conflict. Quite a few tigers and leopards have made these areas as their habitats, and they are frequently coming in contact with human beings, creating conflict. So I'm going to come here and click on this marker and come here and click here, human wildlife conflict, and then paste some description about this story, leading my readers to a newspaper article, and click on save, and then maybe add a few pictures just to highlight the human-animal conflict. And this could be one picture, tigers coming in this particular area, and then maybe leopards coming in this area, and this one indicating interaction with people. So we have added the impacts layer to our story map, telling our viewers some of the impacts that this plant might have, completing this story. So of course you can add as many layers as you want. And I've just picked up some basic material from the net, from published sources, just for the purposes of demonstration, how you can build up a map story. So we can go and have a look at the preview of this story map. And you can see that there are quite a few layers. People can zoom in and have a look at different things. They can read different stories and follow those stories with pictures, etc., and videos, and have a fair bit of idea about the events in this particular area. It's an environmental story that we have captured on Google My Map, and we can share the same with our viewers. Now, there's one other interesting thing you can do with these distance buffers or circles. You can perform some quick visual assessment to answer some basic geographical questions related to proximity. This may not be perfect, but can be helpful in many situations. Let's say we are interested to find out how many hospitals are located between 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers of this particular plant. Now, what we are seeing is we are not interested in hospitals before 5 kilometers, and we are also not interested to find out about hospitals outside of 10 kilometers. Now, Google My Maps does not provide you with a tool to pose such kind of geographical questions and get answers automatically, but we can do this through visual assessment. As you can see, this is the 1 kilometer circle. This is the 3 kilometer circle. this is the 5-kilometer circle, and this is the 10-kilometer circle. So because we have these buffers already displayed on the map, we can now just make a query here. Let us say, for example, we type hospital, and then we come to the last option, hospital search places near current view. So it'll try to bring up hospitals in this view. So as you can see, this search brings out a few hospitals right here. And we are interested only in hospitals after this line and before this line, that is the 5-kilometer buffer and the 10-kilometer buffer. Now what we can do is we can quickly add a layer. And once we have this layer, we have selected this layer. And now what we can do is, because we are interested only in these hospitals, we can see that these are between 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers. We can just come and click on these hospitals and add them to the map. So click on one, then click on the next, add them to the map, click on the next, add that to the map, and then click on this one and add this also to the map. So we have added to this layer, which we can title as hospitals between 5 and 10 kilometers, 4 hospitals that have come out of this search query. So what about these hospitals? Well, we can just go to the top and just simply do away with them. Just come here and click on this cross here, because we've already made our selections. So once we have done this, we have now isolated hospitals between 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers. If the same question was about schools between 3 kilometers and 5 kilometers, we can come here and just type in school and then try to look for schools in the current view. So we see quite a few schools popping up in this area, and we are interested only to locate schools as sensitive receptors between 3 kilometers and 5 kilometers. That is this particular band. So there are 2 schools showing up here. We are not interested in any other school. So what we can do is we can create a layer. And once we have this layer, we can click on this school and add it. And we can click on this school and add it. And we can just go to the top and do away with all other schools, because we are not interested to locate schools that are outside this particular band. And of course, for visual discrimination, we can always do uniform styling and click here, choose an icon, and then choose a color. And we can show these schools very distinctly. The same logic can also be extended to adding new features. Let's say, for example, we wanted to add a few air monitoring stations, and the local municipal body has decided that we can have 2 stations between 1 and 3 kilometers, 2 stations between 3 and 5 kilometers, and 4 stations between 5 and 10 kilometers, such that we have a wide geographical coverage in all directions. So what we can do is we can just add a layer. And once we have this layer for proposed air monitoring stations, we can then just come here and place our first station between 1 and 3 kilometers. And just for visual distinction, we will choose uniform styling, and we will just give this a special icon, let's say the star icon, such that it stands out. So we have added our first air monitoring station. We can do the same right here. So we can put one in the opposite direction between 1 and 5 kilometers, because we have these proximity circles visible to us. We can then put 2 air monitoring stations between 3 and 5 kilometers as required by the municipal body. So we can put one here, and then we can put 1 station here. So this is covering all directions. And then we can put 4 stations in the last band between 5 and 10 kilometers as stipulated by the municipal body. So we can come and put 1 station here. We can put 1 station here. We can put 1 station here. and we can put one station here. So not only we can search for existing features like schools and hospitals, etc., we can also use the buffer circles to place new features or digitize new features based on distance stipulations. Once again, this may not be perfect, but we can use these distance buffers to answer some basic geographical questions through visual assessment. So this is how you can create a story map in Google My Maps, bringing various facets of the story tied to geographical locations, all shown on one single map. So let me now show you some other ways in which we can import data. You will recall in the last example, we had used an online tool called as Circleplot to create our own KML or keyhole markup language file. But there are quite a few organizations across the world who run open data portals and who share KML files with you. So you don't need to create your own. You can actually get quite a few KML files completely free. So let's try to see how we can import different kinds of data and create map compositions. So for this example, we're going to go to the city of Vancouver in Canada. And most cities these days have open data portals. So all you have to do is just type the name of the city in Google and follow that up with open data. And you should be taken to the open data portal for that particular city. In this case, I'm going to use the open data portal of Vancouver City in Canada. So once you click on this link, you will be taken to the open data portal for Vancouver City. So this is the open data portal of Vancouver City. You can type in other cities and try to find out if those cities have open data portals like this. So as you scroll down, you will see categories in which open data is available for this particular city. Let's, for example, click on culture and education. So this opens the culture and education dataset catalog right here. And there are quite a few datasets that we can download and use. So for this example, I will use the dataset for schools in the city of Vancouver. I've just constructed this example to show you how we can download and use data from open data portals in Google My Maps. So let's click on schools, and this will take us to the schools page. So you will see that on the first tab, you have information about this particular dataset. You can read that. The second tab shows you data inside the table. So if you scroll down, you will see that this has 194 schools. So from this tab, you can actually see the data like you would see it inside a spreadsheet. The third tab is a map. So in most cases, it can actually draw the data for you. So these are all the schools around Vancouver City. You can also click on this button to see some analytics. But the one that we are really interested in is the export button. So when you click on this, you will see all the formats in which you can export this data. One of the formats is KML. So we can get the whole data set in KML format, which is a format that is accepted by Google My Maps for import. And the other format that is accepted by Google My Maps is CSV or comma separated values. But if you are able to get in KML, this is the preferred option. So I'm going to come here and click on KML and download this data set. So as you can see, this data has been downloaded on my machine. Let's head back and see if we can get some other data sets as well. So I'm back again on my education dataset page, and let's also download the libraries layer. So schools and libraries are connected. So we will just click on this. And these are all the public libraries in the city of Vancouver. So we can just head directly to the export page. And you can see that this is also available as a KML file. Not all datasets would be available as KML files. but this one is. So let's just click on this and download this as well. So after downloading the schools and the libraries layers, I am on the main page of the Open Data portal, and you can see that there is a search box, so you can try to search for data sets here. And as you scroll down, you will see a listing of popular data sets. So one of the data sets is local area boundary. Let's click on this and see if we can download this as well. So it says that this data set contains the boundary for the city's 22 local areas, also known as local planning area. So all kinds of urban planning or city planning is done in these 22 local areas. So let's head here and try to see if we can download it as a KML. So yes, we can. So let's also download this layer, and you can see that this layer has also been downloaded. So such kind of data portals are available for cities. Many organizations also share free KML files for various data sets. So you can search them on the internet. So once you have these files on your computer, and you can see that I have these 3 files here: schools, libraries, and local area boundaries. So let's try to create a map composition now, and I'm going to start a new map, and let us give this map a name. So I'm going to call this Schools in Vancouver, and I'm going to come here and click on Save. So my map now has a title, and this is my first layer. So let me give this a name and save, and let me import those KMLs here. So I'm just going to come here and click on import as we have been doing before, and I'm going to grab hold of this schools KML file that I just downloaded and drop it here. So this layer is now being loaded, and we are now taken to the city of Vancouver in Canada, and you can see that all these schools have now been included here as part of a layer. So these are all the schools in Vancouver. So this is our first layer, and we are going to now add another layer, and this layer will be the layer for libraries. So let us title that, and I'm going to call this libraries. And these are all the public libraries, and let's import the library layer here. So I'm going to just grab hold of this and drop it here, and this brings in the libraries layer. So these are all the public libraries, currently not very distinguishable because of the blue color. So let's style them as a group, uniform style, and then come here and click on this bucket, give them a really bright color, and then maybe look for an icon for library. So library, and this is an icon for library. So I'm going to click on this and press OK. So these are all the public libraries, and we can already start seeing the proximity of schools to these libraries. So let's bring in another layer, and this will be the planning boundaries layer. So I'll just name this as city boundaries, and save. And what we're going to do is click on the import button, and then go here and get hold of the local area boundaries and drop it right here. And remember, if this does not work, like if it is for some reason not able to import these files from your local computer, you can always load them up on your Google Drive. And I've seen that it always is able to import these files from there. But usually this works quite well. So you can see that we now have a third layer, and this is the layer of all the boundaries. So once we have all these layers, we can start seeing which planning areas have a higher density of schools and how many libraries are there in each planning area. So we can see schools and libraries in context of planning areas. And if you look closely, you will see that there are a few planning areas. For example, this particular planning area, which is Arbutus Ridge, this doesn't have a single public library. Likewise, Shaughnessy doesn't have a single public library. And then also South Cambie doesn't have a single public library. So there are at least 3 planning areas that don't have a single public library. So once you're done, you can preview this map. So this is how people will see this data, and they can switch off or switch on layers. They can switch off the boundaries, and they can switch off the schools if they just wanted to see the library. So this is how it's going to look for your viewers. And I'm going to close this, and you will see that you can just click on share and share the link with other people such that they can look at this particular map. So you can import data from open data portals, and you can just simply look for KML files that are available. Before we conclude this lesson on importing data, I would like to show you two other ways in which you can import data besides importing it as a KML file. One of these ways is using a CSV or a comma separated value file, and the other is using a GPX file. So let's look at CSV first. Now, a CSV file or a comma separated value file is a very simple file. You can open this file in Notepad, and what you see here is rows of data. So the first row is the heading row. You can see that there is the name of the country followed by comma, followed by the heading for the second column, which is indicator. So this is some development indicator in this sample data file. So the first row is the heading row, where we have two columns separated by a comma. Following the heading row, we have data. So we have the country itself, comma, and the value for that indicator, and the same for other countries. So this is what a comma separated value file looks like. You can open it in Microsoft Excel or LibreOffice Calc. Let's do that. When you open it inside Microsoft Excel or Calc, you will not be able to see the comma separated structure like I showed you in Notepad, and you will see it like a normal Excel or a Calc file. So there's one important thing that I would like you to notice here, that we are just having two columns of data, and we don't have any positional columns like latitude and longitude. So if we try to import this file, one important question is, will my maps be able to place this data at the correct locations on the map? And the short answer is yes. Even though we don't have a latitude longitude column, my maps will be able to place this data correctly on the map because it is able to understand these names for different countries. So as long as my map is able to understand a name like the name of a country or the name of a city, you don't need latitude, longitude, or positional columns to place that data accurately on the map. So let's head over to my maps. This is a fresh map. I will click on import and then click on browse. So as you can see, the type of this file is comma separated values file. So we will just click on open, and before completing the import process, it wants to know the column using which it can place the place marks on the map. So we will choose the name of the country, then continue. And then it is asking you for a column that it will use to title the place mark. So we can choose country once again and finish. So as you can see, our data has been nicely imported and placed absolutely perfectly on this particular map. When you click on a place mark, you will see the indicator data. So we can easily import data that has been put in a comma separated value file. And as long as it has names for locations that Google My Maps or Google Maps can understand, you don't need positional columns like latitude and longitude to place that data accurately on the map. Let me show you one other way in which we can import data. Let me add a layer, and we can click on import and then browse. So one other way in which we can import data is through a GPX file. So a GPX file is a file that is coming out of your GPS instrument or an GPS app on your smartphone. So for example, if you are trekking in an area and if you had a GPS instrument or if you had an app, you can save tracks, and when you save that track, it is saved as a GPX file, and then that GPX file can be imported easily inside My Maps. So let's click on this and open. And you will see that this trek, which was made in the Scottish Highlands in the proximity of the famous Loch Ness, was recorded by the trekker using a GPS instrument as they were walking through this trek path, and they downloaded the trek, and that is the trek that we can import inside My Maps. So GPX files, although not very common, but then if you are an avid trekker, or if you are a biker, and if you are able to record a trek or a bike route that is off-road, you can easily import that file as a GPX file inside My Maps. So these are the various ways in which you can import data inside Google My Maps. Now, continuing our discussion on import, there's another way in which you can quickly create a map composition in Google My Maps, and that is by using or importing geotagged photographs. So if you have a collection of photographs which are geotagged, and this is quite easily possible because all phone cameras have this option where you can switch on the location, and whenever a photograph is taken, the latitude and longitude of the place where the photograph was taken is also embedded inside the data of the photograph. And if you have a collection of these photos, you can quickly create a map story or a map using Google My Maps. So here I have 5 images of the hawksbill turtle. The hawksbill turtle is a critically endangered species. So this is the WWF page for the hawksbill turtle. And if you scroll down, you can read a little bit of information about the hawksbill turtle. But as you can see, the status of this species is critically endangered. So in this example, we are going to create a map by importing geotagged photographs. So how do you know if a photograph is geotagged? Well, just open your folders, and I'm currently using a Windows 11 machine, and this would be also true for all other computers. So just open the folder in which you have these photographs, and you can right click on a photograph and then go ahead and click on Properties. Then you have a tab called as Details, so click on that tab, and as you scroll down, you will see that there is a section on GPS, and it has entries for latitude and longitude. So this is the place where this particular photograph was taken. And because it's a geotagged photograph, it has latitude and longitude embedded inside the EXIF information of the photograph. If a photograph is not geotagged, you will not see the GPS section, and these entries will be missing. So what we are going to do now is we are going to create a new map composition showing the nesting sites of hawksbill turtle, and the location for these nesting sites for these hawksbill turtle for this example will be in South America along the coast of Venezuela, Guyana, and Suriname. So let's create this map. So I'm going to come here and click on create a new map. And this time around, I'm going to import these geotagged photographs directly and create my map. So let's first label this map and call this as nesting sites for hawksbill turtle and save. So our map now has a name, and we can name the layer as well. So just click here. I'm going to call this as sites. You can call them anything that you want. And what we're going to do now is to click on the import button. So in this particular case, I have moved these to my Google Photos album, and I'm going to come here and click on this. So I have all these pictures available, and what I'm going to do now is to just select all of them one by one. And once all the images are selected, I can just come here and click on insert. So the moment I do this, all these geotagged photographs are imported inside this particular map, and you can see that a map has been automatically created because these photographs were geotagged, and you can see that all these nesting sites have been included here. When you click on any of these locations, you can see these pictures. And one important thing that I would like to mention is that you will see that this particular location has 2 pictures. So this is because both these pictures are having the exact same latitude, longitude information. So if you have 2 pictures that have the exact same coordinates, they will be clubbed together for that one single point, and it will show those 2 pictures as belonging to one point. So you can create a map composition just simply by importing geotagged photographs. And then you can just simply edit and add more information to each of these places if you wanted to. So this is how you can create map compositions just simply by importing geotagged photographs. In the final example that I'm going to show in this tutorial, let us try to see how we can use Google My Maps for planning routes. And this is a wonderful application for planning routes and tours. If you are visiting new places, if you are cycling in a city, you can plan your cycling route. So all kinds of routes can actually be planned. So let us start by creating a new map. And we have a new map. So for this example, let us assume that we are visiting the beautiful city of Aberdeen in Scotland, UK, and we would like to plan in advance all the places that we would like to visit there. So let's title this as Aberdeen Visit and save. So our map has got a title. And now let's just go to Aberdeen. So we will type Aberdeen in the search box. So we have now reached Aberdeen in the UK. So if you are not really aware of where Aberdeen is, this is Scotland and this is the town of Aberdeen up north. So let me just rename this as places. So these will be the places that we will be visiting. So the first place that we will reach is the Aberdeen Airport. So let us look for the Aberdeen Airport and click on this. So this is the Aberdeen International Airport. So let us add this as one of the places in our map. And we have already decided that we will be staying in the heart of the Aberdeen city and at the Premier Inn Hotel. So when you click on it, you can see that this is a hotel in the city center of Aberdeen. So let's add this also as one of the places because this is where we are going to stay. So let's click on this and add this to the map. And now we have two places. One is the Aberdeen International Airport and one is the place where we are going to stay. So what we are now going to do is we'll chalk out a route between Aberdeen International Airport and the Premier Inn Hotel. So to do that, we will just come here and click on this draw a line icon. And we can just come here and click on add a driving route. And this button here does exactly the same thing. It just directly adds a driving route. But the advantage of choosing these routes from this button is that you can add a driving route, you can add a biking route, and you can also add a walking route. So this and this button are exactly the same. When we click on this, you will see that a new layer will be created. And we can name this layer as arrival segment or anything that you would like. And now what it's saying is you have to choose place A. So because we have already entered this as a place, we will just come here and click on this. And then it's now asking me to enter the destination. So I'm going to come here and click on this. I have already chosen this as my place of stay. So this marker is visible for me. It's therefore important that we first put markers on places that we would like to visit and then connect them via a route. So I'm going to come here and click on this. And the moment I do this, it adds the shortest route, as you would be very familiar on Google Maps. And it has added this route between these two places. Now, one of the great advantages of planning this kind of a route map is that you can open this map on your phone. And when you reach this particular place, you can then navigate using this particular route. Now, as you move your mouse on top of this line, you will see that dots appear. And say, for example, you want to change this route. Say, for example, you don't want to come directly to your hotel, but you want to meet your friend here and then travel to the hotel. So you can just simply catch hold of this dot and drag it. So it will change the route and it will take you from this particular location and then back. So you can move it and alternate routes will appear. I'm going to undo this, and we have a direct route between the international airport and the hotel where we are going to stay. So this is now recorded on this particular layer, that is directions from Aberdeen International Airport to the Premier Inn Hotel. Let's now click on places and make this layer as active layer. So upon arrival and on the next day, I would like to have a walking tour around the city. So this is where I am staying. So maybe on the next day, I would like to walk to the Aberdeen Art Gallery. So let's include this as a place. I'm just demonstrating this, and you can plan your own routes whenever you are moving. So this is the first place that I would like to walk to from here. And then maybe from here, I would like to have a cup of tea and experience a roadside restaurant. So maybe add this also as a place and click on this. So this place has also been added. So you'll see that on the places layer, we are adding places that we plan to visit. And then from maybe here, I would like to walk to the Victoria Park and have a look at this park. So let me come here and click on this and also add this as one of the places. Then I would like to head back and maybe visit the Rosemount Community Center. So click here and add this as a place. So before we can actually build a route, we need to enter all the places. So from here, I would like to visit the St. Mary's Cathedral. So let me just come here and click on this and add this to my map. And from here, maybe I would like to go and visit the Aberdeen Maritime Museum. So click on this and add this to the map. And then from here, I'll walk back to my hotel. So I can include other destinations also. So once I have all these places in, I can then start creating a walking route. So I'm going to come here and click on this draw a line button and then choose add walking route. And you will see that a new layer has been created. So let me start from my hotel. So I'm going to click on this icon, and then I'm going to come here and walk to the Aberdeen Art Gallery. So this is my first route. And then I'm going to come here and click on add destination. And then I will reach this particular restaurant. So click on that marker, then click on add destination. Then I'm going to move forward and reach the Victoria Park. Then let us scroll down and click on add destination. So from here, I'm going to visit the Rosemount Community Center. Then once again, add destination. I'm going to come and visit the St. Mary's Cathedral. And then add destination. From here, I'm going to visit the Aberdeen Maritime Museum. And then finally, add destination. From here, I'm going to go ahead and walk back to my hotel. So this completes my walking route. And you can see that all these have been recorded on this particular layer. So let me just say day 2 city tour and save this. So I have one route that is bringing me from Aberdeen International Airport to my hotel. And on the next day, I'm going to go around the town and visit all the famous places. And I can carry this map with me on my phone and then navigate from this place to that place so I don't get lost. And I can quite conveniently move around the town and see all the famous places. On the next day, I plan to visit the Scottish Highlands in the countryside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive out of the Aberdeen city and go to a town called as Bankery, which is close to some highlands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on my way, visit this Highlands Museum. So let me just activate this places layer and click on this and add this as one of the places where I want to go. And then I'm going to drive all the way to Bankery, where my accommodation has been fixed at the Remoyer House. which is located here. So let's just zoom in and try to see. This is the Remoyer house. So let's just click on this and add this to our places. And then from here, I'm going to visit a small highland point, and I've researched this from before. This is called as the Hill of Fair. This is where it is. So I'm going to just click on this. So I'm going to add this also as one of the places that I want to visit. So this is not really very far away from this. And part of this distance we can drive, and part of this distance we will have to trek. So if we can just change this base map and convert it into a satellite image, you will see that these are all the highlands that I want to visit. So let's get back here. And I might also on way like to visit a castle. So let me just click on this and add this to the places that I want to visit. So once I have all these places that I want to drive to, I can then start adding a driving route. So it adds a new layer as we have done before. We can zoom in, and so we are going to start from here, and then we will visit the Highlanders Museum. Let's zoom out. We are going to come here and visit this castle en route, and from here we are going to come to the Remoyer house. Okay, and from the Remoyer house we will try to make our way to this particular place. So I'm adding all these routes. You will see that this is not really connected. So once this is done, we have a route that we can drive all through. So this may not happen in this particular sequence. For example, after driving and reaching the Remoyer house, we might like to take this route on the next day. Finally, a little bit of this is actually not connected by road. So what we can do is we can add that route ourselves. So to do that, let's just open the satellite view and then really zoom in, so you can see that from the Remoyer house where we will be staying, we will drive here and then park our car, and then we will have to travel this distance on foot. You can see that there is a trail. It's visible on the satellite image, and we can reach this place in multiple different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another layer and call this as my trek layer. And for this layer, I'm going to add a line or shape and start digitizing my route. So you can see that we are traveling along this path that others have followed already. So as you move forward, you can then just simply keep moving along this particular path. You can always correct and edit this line, as I have mentioned earlier. And then finally, we can just make our way and reach this particular point. So click on the last point 2 times, and let's call this as trek path. So we can add a line here indicating that this is a trek path, and maybe give it a different color like yellow, such that it is visible. So we have now planned the entire trip, and then we can return back by the same route. So before visiting this place, I have my entire tour planned, and I have a route map, and I can see this on my Google Maps, because all these maps, my maps, are accessible from your Google Maps app. You just have to tap on the saved button and then scroll down and click and choose your map. And once you reach this particular place, you can activate it, and you have all your routes planned for you. So if you are also biking, you can have some biking routes, and this is a great tool to have. You can also then add to this particular map water fountains, and you can add hospitals, and you can add motor garages, such that on this particular route, if you want to access some service, you have the location of that particular place already. You have already researched it, and you can add all those things to this particular map and then use it when you reach that particular destination. So this is how you can plan and create route maps and use them once you reach the particular location. So in this last lesson, we will see some of the options for sharing and exporting your maps. Let's begin with sharing. So this is the Aberdeen visit route map. And let us say I want to share this with other people. So what I'm going to do now is just make sure that I have a good view and the entire route is showing. And then I'm going to come here and set this as my default view. To share this map, all I need to do is to come here and click on share, and then just make sure that this is switched on. So anybody with this link can see this map or view this map, and then just come here and copy this link and share it across with anybody with whom I want to share this particular map. So this is one way of sharing. People will only be able to see, but not be able to make any changes. However, there can be a situation where you are wanting to create a map with the help of other people. You want collaborators to come here and help you create this map. So in order to share a map like that, you can come to share and then just click on share on drive. So when you do this, you will see that we are already carrying forward the general access that we had set from before. And we can now add specific people. Let us say, for example, and these have to be Gmail addresses. So let us say, for example, I wanted to add this particular person as a collaborator, and I can add this person. So I can type one or more than one addresses, or otherwise just simply paste all the addresses together. And you have to make sure that if you want people to collaborate, this setting is set to editor and not viewer. Otherwise, these people will not be able to contribute or make changes on this particular map. You can also put in a message informing them that they have been added as editors of this particular map and you are looking forward to their collaboration. And when you click on send, they will receive an email sharing with them the link of this particular map. This is that particular link. You can copy this and maybe also paste it here inside the message, but the link is automatically sent. So those people can then just simply click on the link, log in with their Google credentials, and they will have access to this map. Or otherwise, just simply type mymaps.google.com in a browser, log in with their Google credentials, and they will then have access to this particular map. So this is how you can share a map with some selected people, making them collaborators. Now, there are a few other options for export. And one of these options per layer is that you can click on these three dots and you can export this layer as a KML file or a CSV file. So once you export this layer as a KML file, all the places will be saved as a KML file that you can at some stage use in some other map. Or maybe if, for example, by mistake, if you delete this layer, you can always get that layer back by importing this particular KML file. Now, KMZ is just the KML file, but it's a zipped version of this particular file. So they are both the same. So you don't have to worry about this. Just click on this, give it a name, and it will be saved. Now, the same you can do with other layers. So you can export layer by layer, or otherwise, if you want to export the whole map, you can come to this menu here, right on top, click on these three dots, and then you can come here and export it as KML or KMZ. At this time, it is asking you whether you want to export the entire map or do you want to export layers. So you can choose one of these if you want to export only one particular layer, or otherwise just let it remain as the entire map and just go ahead and click on download, and the entire map or the layer that you have chosen will be saved as a KML file. What you can also do is to view this map on Google Earth. So you can just come here and click on Google Earth, and this will be opened in the online version of Google Earth if you wanted to create a tour or create a slideshow. I have done a video on this, so I'll leave a link in the description below and you can have a look on that video also, how to create a slide presentation in Google Earth. But that's one of the options that you can choose from here, view in Google Earth. What you can also do is you can get code to embed it on a website. If, say, for example, you had a website and you wanted to embed this map on that website or on your blog, you can just come here and click on embed on site, and then just simply go ahead and copy this, okay? And then go to your website and embed this entire map on a web page using tools on the website. So this is also very much possible. Finally, you can also print this map. So you can just come here and click on print map. And there are a few options that you can choose. So you'll have to do a little bit of hit and trial. In this particular case, I want my map to be in landscape orientation because I have lots of legends. So I would like to have a large paper size. And you have a choice of exporting it to PDF or an image. So one good option possibly could be image, and then click on print. So when you do this, it creates an entire image of your map, and then you can print it or save it as PDF. So just go ahead and click on print, and then just simply go ahead, give it a name and save. So this is saved as a PDF file, and you can go ahead and open it. So as you can see, this is saved as a PDF file, and you can open this and view this inside your PDF viewer. And you can go to view and rotate the view clockwise to see this entire thing. So this is how you can create a printed copy of your map. Just come here and click on print map. If you come to any layers menu, you can just come here and click on these three dots here, and you have a few options here that say Reimport and Merge. And what this means basically is that if you have imported a KML file and now you have a revised version of that file, for example, roads in an area, and you have a few new roads, you can click on Reimport and either choose to replace all items or just simply update matching items. You can add more items, merge existing items. So some of these options are possible. My recommendation is you can delete the layer and then create a new layer from scratch if you want to update this particular layer. But these options are available and you can try them out as well. So we have created quite a few maps and examples in this particular tutorial. When you share a map with somebody, or when somebody shares a map with you, you can just click on this shared button right here, and you will see all the maps that you have shared with other people or others have shared with you filtered here. And if you want to just see the maps that others have shared with you, you can come here and click on not owned. So this will show you the maps that others have shared with you. In this particular case, I created a map from another account, and I tried to map an interesting environmental story where the Klamath River, which flows in the state of California in US at the border of Oregon and California, is demolishing 4 dams which were built on this river such that the flow of this river can be restored, which will help the migration of salmon and which will also improve the livelihood of Native Americans living in the Klamath Basin. So I created this from another account and I shared it with my current account. So when I'm clicking here, not owned, I see that this is something that has been shared by somebody else with me, and it also shows up in the shared tab. This one shows both the ones that you have shared and the ones that have been shared with you. I hope this series on Google My Maps was interesting and that it helps you getting started on Google My Maps. We can see Google My Maps as an integral extension of Google Maps that gives us the capacity to create our own custom maps and share them with others. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments section about this series, and also if you have any questions on these tutorials. And I also look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care and thanks for watching.